Good morning. Hello. Hi, everyone. Good morning and hello. For me, it's morning. I don't know where you're tuning in from, but if it is not morning where you are at, lucky you, because it was a struggle rolling out of bed today. How is everybody today? Today we are going to start our morning with a little bit of painting. We're doing gouache painting today. So of course, with these creative mornings, I have like a prompt. We're doing something together, but you're welcome to do whatever you feel like doing. You're welcome to use whatever media that you like. My name is Erica. I am an artist and educator, and I've been doing these creative mornings this month in July because I'm a teacher and I'm on summer break. And it's just a way to kind of get started with a little bit of work, a little bit of painting in your practice before the day starts, for me at least. But today we're going to be doing a painting that's inspired entirely by this theme of pool party, which is a theme that we have on my Patreon. We've been working with this theme all month, this like kind of summery theme. So we've had these like different prompts every week, and this was not the prompt for this week. This is the prompt from last week. But I did have a lot of interest in it, and several questions that were asked about, like how do you draw the floats? How do you do some different things? So we're going to try that in our sketchbook today. You are invited to get out your materials and to work with me if that's something that you feel like doing. You can work on your own thing. Either way it works for me. I'm just going to be painting these and you can follow along with me. I've got reference images today, and I'm not going to use timers, but I'm going to try to keep myself a little bit on a schedule because I know that there's a lot of things to do, and I'm going to try not to work too long for any one drawing. But of course, you're welcome to work as long as you like on every single drawing. If you want to see these photos on your own, the reference photos that I've chosen from Unsplash, Pexels, any like free reference photos on the internet, you can find them on the link on my Patreon. So I'll try to post one of those links in the chat today. But let's go ahead and get started. If you're drawing with me, great. And if you're just watching, that's cool too. You do you. It's early. I'm not asking for a lot because it is early. Okay, so I'm going to be using my Himi Gouache. These, mine are pretty old and they look a little rough. But these are my Himi Gouache. I'm going to use these today, mostly for convenience. Use whatever ones you have. Sometimes, or in the last few drawings, I used acrylic gouache and also like designer gouache or artist gouache. It's up to you. I encourage you to use whatever you feel like using. Good morning. Maybe grab some coffee. We're going to take it easy. We're not going to be rushing around. I feel like it's too early to rush around. So I have this palette, but it's just so awkward right now. Like, I don't know where to put it. Try that. There we go. Okay. So I usually like to use some cheapy brushes. I have a lot of different sizes here. I like my brushes on the firmer side, especially with gouache. Gouache feels to me a little bit more like acrylic. So having a stiffer or like a firmer brush, a firmer bristle is helpful for me. I usually like to work with something flat. So I like a flat brush like this. My flat brush is a little raggedy. But that's usually what I start with. And I like to use round as well. I'm just going to keep my brushes I know they're out of sight, but okay, let's go ahead and open up one of these images. We'll start with this one right here. Excuse me. Good morning, good morning. Where are you guys coming from? Where are you guys tuning in from? Okay, so I wanted to create like a sketchbook spread This is going to be a variety of different images that are going to all be themed around this like pool party kind of theme. So I picked some images that I thought would kind of give us that little vibe. Good morning. Good morning, Teresa. Good morning, Elsa. Hi. So I'm picking and choosing, and I'm just going to select an area to do this. I actually feel like this would be a great spot for my umbrella. I chose this image because I really like the umbrella. I'm not super interested in the sky, but let me see if I can move it around just a little so we can see it a little better, because I want to put my umbrella here and maybe the chair, but most likely not. I'm also going to open up these images on my iPad that I have nearby, just so I can see them a little closer. In case you need to do that, I recommend it, especially this one. This one's like really small. So I want this umbrella over here. So I'm going to start, we're doing gouache painting, which is a little bit of a different process. It's very similar, but I want to use a lot of fun, playful colors. And we've been talking about gouache all month because we were doing this book club. And one of the things I keep like trying to make a good comparison for is, what is the viscosity, or how would you describe the viscosity of the perfect gouache for you? I know it needs some water, but not too much water, because we don't want it to be, I don't want mine to be too much like watercolor. I want it to have that opacity that gouache is known for. So I'm going to do something really simple here, and I'm going to start with an umbrella. And I'm just going to sketch in the shape. Of course, if you feel like you would feel a little bit more comfortable painting with a sketch underneath first, by all means, please do that. But I'm not a huge sketcher. I'm not super big into sketching, so I usually just start painting and then hope that everything works out, or correct. And especially with gouache, I feel like it's a little bit easier to correct. So I'm creating those little stripes, but I can fix things. If it looks a little funny at the end, I can fix it. And I also really love to use, what is it called? Oh, color pencil. I'm sorry, it's early. Color pencil. And I like to use that at the end. And that helps me to refine details, make areas more clear if they need it. Okay. Like that. So these have these little notches here, and that's why I put those little spaces there. And I'm going to put also, I didn't put anything on, but I hope you guys don't mind. I'm going to put a little bit of background music on because I kind of like that. And I can actually hear my my alarm in the other room going off, and it's like NPR. So I'm trying to get rid of that noise, block that sound out for me. I just listen to this like lo-fi channel on YouTube. Okay, so sorry about that. All right, so there is like kind of a seam right here, and a seam right here, and a seam right here. And I'm gonna sketch in, I mean, I'm still sketching, I just feel like I'm sketching with my paintbrush, right? So I kind of have a layout for where this will be or how this will be arranged. My goodness. And Oh my goodness, I just put my brush into my coffee. Yay. What a way to start the day. Okay, that's no good anymore. Like, that happens to me, but never to that degree. Like, I went all in and started swizzling it around. Jeez. Okay, I'm gonna put some white stripes here in between the pink ones, and then I think I'm gonna let it dry a little because I might want to put in a little bit of like shading or like a little bit of value to help the little segments kind of differentiate from each other. But I think that's going to be better if I let it dry for a bit. So I think, like with painting, one of the things that I have to do is be very patient and find ways to continue to work even while being patient, which for me just means I have to like distribute my time. So I will work on this and I'll work on something else and I'll come back to this. Okay, I'm gonna leave that right there. Okay, so I have this funny little umbrella-y shape. I feel like it could have been a little wider, but the shape's a little funky. I'm gonna maybe round it out a little bit here because it looks a little pointy. Maybe make it feel a little bit more round right there. Okay. Now keep in mind there's a lot of images. I'm going to try to find like places to put everything, and I also want to make sure that I have room for all the things that I want to include. I do have 7 images, which is a lot of images. I just thought that all of them would be really cute, so I wanted to include them. So there is my umbrella. I'm going to stop with that one and I'm going to move on to another one. Unless you guys want me to hold it for a few minutes. Let me know if you have any preferences because I'm almost ready to change it. Now, if you're using gouache and just starting your gouache journey, I'm curious how we like it. How do you like gouache? Is it working for you? Are you feeling it? I have this really bright pink here. Thinking of using a little bit of that. Try to see that edge. So small, so tiny. It's a great image. Mix it with some of this pink that I used for the stripes. And do a little more right here. This kind of, if I put these lines going in this direction, it kind of makes it seem like they're going, there's another segment that's way back here. That's what I'm trying to create. My dog is very needy in the morning, and she's being needy right now. So just in case I have to let her out or tend to her. Put a little bit more in here. So here I've mixed just a little bit of that darker red into the pink that I was using, and all I'm doing is going over over these stripes a little bit more. I liked how they were kind of soft from the white in the middle. They turned kind of softened, and I liked that a little bit. So I might want to do a little bit more of that. And I'm also not going to make them too sharp. You can make them as sharp as you like, but I like a little bit more of a like painterly or gestural, expressive kind of look. I like it to look a little bit more, I don't know, what's the word I'm looking for? Rough? Yeah, I think I agree with you, Teresa, that you love gouache, but it's a little tricky for the details. Agreed. And I think that just, you know, improves with practice. And also, I really feel like, you know, practice is very important, but you also, I think, should, you know, think about, one of the things that I think made me like painting a lot more was kind of embracing my hand, like the hand that is visible in my work, you know, the way that my style looks, the way that my strokes look, the way that everything kind of gets laid down. Because I remember very, very clearly taking a class in college when I was learning oil painting, and I just think that I was trying to compare myself and of course this is college, so I think we kind of all do this, but I compared myself a lot to other painters, and I was thinking, well, my painting needs to look, my style needs to look like this or whatever. And that was hard because that's not how, like, that's not what my hand, I use the term hand like very, you know, loosely regarding the style or my technique. And that's not how my hand looked in my painting. My painting style looked different, and that was hard for me. It made me have a really hard time, especially with figure painting. I had a really hard time with figure painting. It just didn't look like what I expected it to look like. And I didn't want to do figure painting. I really, really hated figure painting. Now I don't hate it so much, but that's mostly because I have started to kind of embrace my style, and I know that my style is a little bit looser, it's a little funky, and that is something that works for me. And once I started to embrace my own methodology, it really helped me to start to like painting so much more, so much more. Okay, I did put in some shading, which I don't usually, well, maybe I do, I don't know. You can see there's a lot of like texture. That's what it looks like right now. And I did leave out the chair with the person in it, with the man sitting in it, which I think is very cute, but I am going for something more pool and not so much beach. So I'm gonna stop on that one and move on to the next one. So let's go ahead and turn that one off. And if you like that one and you want to keep painting that one, sorry, if you like this one and you want to keep painting this one, there is a photo on the Patreon post. It is a public post, so everyone should be able to see it. So if you're painting along with me today and you're not a patron, you can still view this. So just go ahead and click on the link. I think I posted a link on my Instagram stories, so you can follow me there. Or you can find me on Patreon under flynncrafthouse. That's the name of my shop, my house, literally. So this photo is there, and you can zoom in, you can get closer to it, you could see it again. Now I'm gonna go ahead and turn that one off and start with another one. Ooh, should we do this one? Let's see. I think I wanted to do, sorry, let me turn that one off. I don't know what to do. Which one should we do next? I kind of want to do the flip-flops. I mean, yeah, I'm gonna do that one. Let's see, which one is that one? There it is. Okay, there's these flip-flops. I'm not super interested in the towel, although I do love a good pattern, so I might put that in somewhere. I'm just kind of wanting to paint the shapes of them. Now, when I'm doing sketchbook spreads, one of the things I like to do is to unify my color palette so that way very different images, because I have so many different images, can feel like they are coordinated. So I'll usually use a similar color scheme for these. So I'm going to start right with those colors that I mixed. Boy, this is just not working for me today. I don't know where to put this silly thing. Okay, I'm going to try that. That's because of the picture on there. Okay, so I'm going to start with that same color because that will be an easy way for me to unify my work. I just want you to see that I'm using it. There we go. I think you can see there. I'm going to put this right over the spine. Oh my gosh, I was thinking, you know, everybody can draw flip-flops, no big deal, but the shape is so particular. I feel like it's so easy to get this wrong. Or, I mean, what's wrong? But it could possibly be hard to understand what this is if you don't really pay attention to that shape. So I definitely thought, well, I just need a photo where I can see the shape of it. And then obviously you can paint whatever you want. You can put whatever details on there. You can put like a pattern on there if you like, but the shape was the most important thing for me to see, to reference. Okay, there's one. And then I'm going to do the other one over here somewhere. And it's really close to my umbrella, you'll see. So I'm going to tuck it behind there. So I'll show you what I mean by that. I'm going to do underlapping, right? Make it look like it's going under. So whenever my images get too close to each other, that's just what I do. I'll put one in front of the other. Okay, I use this line in the middle just to kind of guide the direction of the shoe. I wanted to give myself like a center axis just to see where everything would land. And again, I love some textures, so I'm going to try to leave some of that visible. Okay, and I think I need a little bit more of a point there. There we go. Now, I am going to introduce some more color in here, but I think that this is going to help tie things together. I feel like I've never drawn flip-flops before. This like so, like you see it on everything. In fact, that was one of the reasons I didn't want to use it before, because I was like, ugh, it's so, I don't know, I want to say pervasive, but that's not what I mean. It's just very, you know, I don't know, common to see this, like especially in summary kind of graphics. So I'm using this dark pink that I made also. I'm just going to use the photo to help me find my shadow. I do like a shadow, so I love to put down a shadow that'll help it just seem like it's sitting on the floor. Okay, now these little strappy things are going to be a whole other challenge. I also feel like there's the kind of thing, I'm going to put some little guides here for myself. So maybe this is where it's going to start. And right there. This is the kind of thing that looks, it's got such a weird shape that if you don't get the shape right, it could look kind of funny. Or it could not read like what it's supposed to be. So I'm going to try to get this shape right. I'm going to use two different colors for it, but let me go ahead and just put another mark here so I know where I want it to end. And I'm going to introduce another color here, but it's still in the pink family, which I kind of feel like it's kind of the same color, but it's a different shade. So oh no, let's see if I can get this to look right. I mean, if it doesn't look right, it's fine. I could just work on it a little bit more. And I think the context will still be there, even if your shape isn't exactly right. I'm pretty sure people will still be able to understand it as being, you know, these little flip-flops. I'm gonna close the door real quick. Sorry, Lucy. Okay. Sorry, my dog is right on my heels. This gets very close to the edge, so I'm going to bring it really close to the edge, and then back to this color. And then I think it should land a little further in, something like that. I mean, it's not quite right, but it already looks like a flip-flop. I've literally never painted one of these before, and they're harder than they look. Okay, so I'm gonna leave that just like that for now, and then I'm gonna try to get the placement of everything correct over here. Now I do have a tendency to look at value, so I can see that like plastic strap on this one is very bright on this side, so I'm just gonna make it a little bit lighter, and I'm gonna add another darker shade later. Okay, this one definitely goes beyond the boundary here. In fact, there's a little bit of negative space that we can see. No, that's not the color I want. So we're mostly trying to do this, well, I'm mostly trying to do this with about an hour of work time, like not too much. You know, I wanted these creative mornings to be very accessible in case you just have a little bit of time and you don't want to spend, you know, hours and hours painting. I mean, not everyone has that time, even though I do, and I would love to spend a couple of hours painting this morning. But that said, I do think that leaving this a little bit more rough could be a good way to complete it in a shorter time frame. So I hope you won't feel the like absolute need to make this really, really refined, unless that's definitely your style and you feel like you want to come back to it later. Because I'm gonna, in order to do this in about an hour, I'm gonna kind of move through these paintings a little bit quicker. So they might be a little rougher. I see a little mistake there. Let me. So I feel like there's a little bit of an, like I went too far over with the dark pink, so I need to come back with the lighter pink. And that's one of the things I really like about gouache, is that you can use more gouache on top of gouache, especially if you need to correct something or change it. You can paint on top of it, which is really, really nice. Okay, so these on the picture, although I wasn't really looking at it for this, it has this like gradient, this blue gradient. I kind of want to add that in because it'll help me to introduce another color here. So I'm gonna pick something really vibrant, this really crazy bright blue. I think it'll look really nice with the pink, because that's kind of my vibe right now, these pinks and blues and fluorescence. Love that. So So I'm just gonna paint right on top, a little bit of blue here. And this is where we get to try some blending, Teresa. I know that we talked about that last time. So I'm gonna lay it down on top just like that, just on the heel part. And I just like brushed out at the end using less pressure to try to get it to, you know, not have a hard line. And now with a clean wet brush, just very, very slightly wet, I'm just gonna brush over that. There's no paint on my brush right now. I'm just trying to move it a little bit. Your favorite. Yeah, my favorite too, right? And I don't usually do a lot of blending, but it is, yeah, I mean, it's a slippery slope. You can really, whoa, you can really like take it, you can really kind of like mess up your paper if you're blending and blending till the end of time. That can be really hard. So there are my shoes. I feel like, I feel, actually I could use a little bit of this really bright white pink that I mixed with white. I can use a little bit of that here. Maybe not as much. It's definitely not as bright on this side as it is on the other one. I'm gonna put a little bit right there. And I'm gonna leave it like that. I might come back with colored pencil and add some line work, but I'm gonna leave it sort of like that. I don't know if you guys struggled with those flip-flops, but let me know if you are struggling because they are tricky. They are deceptively not that easy to paint, especially the shape. Let me just do a little very slight definition right here. Right there. Like I had that little darkness there and I think I needed it here. I keep wanting to put something else here, but I don't think I see it. I see anything there that needs to be added. Okay, can do that. Maybe a teeny bit of white right here. Right here. Okay, that was like so small. I'm gonna go ahead and move to the next image. I have the umbrella, I have the flip-flops. Oh, I don't know, I kind of thought about putting some pattern for that towel, but instead, let's do the beach ball because the beach ball is fun and playful and definitely says pool party. Okay, let me find the beach ball. That's not it. That's not it. There it is. The beach ball is so pretty. I really even like that little watery pool. But I think that's really hard to draw. I'm gonna try it, but I'm actually gonna do a little box here. That might be good. I can do the box here with the beach ball, and then I can do the bomb or the rocket pop right here. And then there's another floaty. Maybe we should do the flamingo. I can do some watermelon over here. Yeah, let's do that. Okay, I'm gonna do the beach ball. I did put the flamingo floaty up there too, which was super fun to draw. I thought about doing that one too, but that one's maybe a little bit more challenging. So I'm gonna start with this one. So I'm gonna use this. Goodness, there we go. Let's try that. I just want you to see the colors I'm mixing. So I got this crazy green, but I think that's a little much. I'm gonna go with this kind of pool blue, and I'm gonna add white to it. Probably want that one, plus one with a little bit of white in it. So I always like to start light because then that way I can control, but I know some people like to start with darkness. I don't know what to do with this. Okay, I'm gonna have to find a better setup for this. So I'm gonna start back here. I'm gonna create a shape because I like to have that every now and then. I like to have the contrast of like a rectangle, some sort of like clearly defined space. And I'm gonna reserve this area-ish for the beach ball. Now I did try painting water like this, like the pool, I don't know, reflections and ripples in one of my previous sketchbook spreads, the one that I did with the I don't remember. There's one of them. And it was something I had never done before. It was definitely challenging to wrap my head around it, to really understand what was happening. I still don't really understand, but when I don't understand what's happening, sometimes that's better because I'm just really looking at the types of like patterns or like the lights and the darks, and that helps to inform my work a little bit better. Hang on, I'm gonna let Lucy out. Okay, Lucy, bye. Skedaddle. Lucy doesn't like to be feeling like she's left out. She has to have access to all the rooms at all the time. Okay. So I'm gonna use some of this yellow to just mark in the shapes I see. So and there's this blue here. So I'm putting in the separate segments, but I am trying to make it, you know, turn into a ball at the end, like make sure everything kind of connects so that it becomes something circular shaped like that. And we can always add more paint and fix things if things look a little out of place. One of the great things that I love about gouache is the flexibility. So this little ball is going to introduce like more color into our spread. So it'll be this kind of like pop of really vibrant colors that maybe aren't all over the entire spread. And I think that'll be a nice touch, a nice moment that's like different from everything else. Let's do another little segment right here. And then it's like there's a white segment, so that I'm gonna leave that one. I'll probably paint it in, but this section will be white, and there is a pink right here in the center. So that doesn't look like much yet, but we're gonna try to do something with it. There's definitely white here, and then it becomes a little bit more shaded. There's some shadows on that white segment that are, I mean, there's shadows on everything, but that white one, it's very apparent. I'm not going to worry about shadows right now, but this palette is on my last nerve. It's such a struggle. I know. Let me move this out of the way. There, I think that's a little better. I don't know. I'm so sorry. I'm just like messing with this palette the whole time. Okay. So there's a lot of stuff happening in this little section. Ooh. Saw like a hair on there. And so now I'm going to try to interpret some of that water, and I'm going to use a lighter version of that color maybe, and that's going to help me just to kind of sketch in those lights. And I'm not going to do too much with this. I'm just going to try to create an impression of it. It's just going to be, you know, if it looks like kind of wavy lines, that's what I'm going to use. And I am going to look at them. I'm not completely inventing them, because I'd like to see like when they get thicker and when they get thinner. So I'm just going to use that to inform what I do. Some of them are really noticeable, and then some of them are a little harder to see. So right now, because I'm not going to spend, I'm sure you could spend like days painting this. So detailed. There's so much stuff. I really just want to find the most visible sections and pick those out. And I think the more you look at it, the more you start to understand whether there's, you know, these sections where they join together and they become like new shapes. And you can use those, that kind of knowledge that you learn from studying it, from looking, and add more of those. Some of them are really like very noticeable, very evident. Some of them are a little harder to see. And I think that should tell you that you want to have a little bit of both of those moments. Some that look a little like they're blending in, and then others that look like they are, oh no, like they are really, really visible. I don't know. So far, this is looking pretty crazy. We'll see. We'll see what happens here. And then I'm going to come in with something a little bit darker for like the in-between spaces. That looks crazy right now. Does not look right. I don't know what I was thinking, saying like, hey, let's paint like this really, really hard pool water image live. Let's do that. Not the brightest bulb in the box. Okay, let's see if I'm gonna start adding some of these blobs of the darker blue and see if that starts to bring it together. Use like a sketchy mark. I don't want it to be too like precise or like too, it looks like too much like I was drawing these very particular shapes. I want it to feel a little bit more organic, a little bit more natural. No, we'll see. We'll see what it looks like. Definitely putting some around the ball so it seems like it's kind of sitting on the water. Now, if you're feeling like this is not something you want to try, just make it blue. Just make a blue box. Let the ball float around the middle of a blue box. We will understand I mean, most of looking at work is contextual. So we understand things by context. It's a big blob of paint right there. There we go. I don't know if this is gonna look like water, but it kind of looks like blue leopard print. I switched over to a bigger brush so I can get some of these larger areas. It does look like blue leopard print. Okay, so I have like all of this darker blue and then I have those little white like spaces in between. So I'm just gonna leave that for right now, and I'm going to use a little bit more of these colors for the beach ball colors to just maybe add a little bit of value on the bottom, because I do want it to seem like it's sitting on the water surface. So a little bit of that dark right there, and then I might put a little bit more light in there. So I'm taking the colors that I already painted on there and just mixing, for instance, with this orange, I'm mixing a little bit of that pink that I used before into that orange that I already had, and I'm just gonna paint it right there. That creates that little bit of darkness, and the orange kind of stretches all the way up here. And with the white, I'll do some of the pink and some of the blue. Make it kind of like a purpley shadow. And that'll be the color that I use for the shadow. It's kind of like a violet there. Okay. There's also a really adorable, a really bright highlight right there. So I'm gonna put that highlight in right here. I think there's a little bit right here and right here. And a little bit down here on the blue. Now I'm using the darker green that I chose and put this right up against the ball on the bottoms. Like right now the ball's not really working for me, like it's kind of blending in. So I do feel like it's really defined on the water, so I'm going to use a little bit more of this darker green. This was the original like bluish green that I chose for my palette. For my Himi paints, it was already mixed. It's a Himi color. And then I don't want that to feel totally isolated, so I'll use some of that green. And I'll mix it with a little bit of the pool blue color that I used and add some of that to some of these little blobs of darkness. And then I think I need more white. I'll probably add just a little more white to some of these little moments so they start to sparkle, like you want the water to kind of have a sparkle to it, I guess. I also feel like maybe I might need more color here because it's just so soft, but I'm gonna leave it for now. I could always come back with my color pencil, which is one of the things I really like to do, and really pull that together. Get a little bit of this white, really punchy white. I'm gonna put in here. Focus on those little middle sections where the lines merge together and it becomes very bright here. Sometimes it'll just be little spots of white. couple little flecks of white on there around the ball. I don't know, does it look like water? I'm not sure yet, but I think it's, you know, again, context. I'm just gonna give this a little bit more pigment because it's so transparent. This is where my struggle with too much water is evident. Add another coat right here, another layer. And do another one on the yellow because the yellow is so transparent already. I just want to give it a little bit more pop up against the blue water. I think that was helpful there. I think that worked. I accidentally mixed yellow into that, so just use the blue now. Nope. Scratch that. I need a little bit of white in there. So I'd put that blue on like full strength, and I realized I needed some white mixed into it because then I couldn't see the shadow that I had already painted in. So I just mixed in the white and then painted over it. So I'll just paint a little bit over right here. I just wanted to see that shadow that I had placed at the bottom. That's a little better. I just feel like this gave me a little bit more contrast of the ball against the water because it was very transparent before. So you can see how the water looks crazy, but I don't know, when you look at it from far, it's a little better, but up close, it's kind of, we'll come back, we'll play with that later. I really like that little pool image with the yellow and the blue, but I don't know if we'll be able to put that in. I'm gonna move on to the next image. So on the next one, I'm gonna do the rocket pop or the bomb pop, and I'm gonna put it right here in this skinny space. So I feel like a lot of times when I'm doing sketchbook spreads like this, it's about figuring out what fits where and how to work with the space that you have. So, you know, sometimes the composition works really well and other times it doesn't, and that's just part of the process. If you're a planner, it might be nice for you to even just draw like general shapes to kind of lay out where everything's gonna go. But if you're not a planner like me, then you just kind of wing it and you hope for the best. Now, again, this is red, white, and blue. I want it to kind of match the colors I've chosen here. So I'm gonna choose my darkest pink that I used for the flip-flops. I'm gonna use that as my red. Let me mix it with some, I'm just gonna lighten it up a little bit so I can put in some guides. I hate things that have symmetry. I mean, I don't hate them, but painting them, ugh. The good thing is that this is like machine made, but it's like not like precise, but I just hate when I'm trying to get symmetry. It's so hard to get things to, you know, match the two sides, and I struggle a lot with that, especially in my sketchbook because I'm just very loose and loosey-goosey with this. So I have to give myself a guide, and that line was my guide. That tells me that everything should kind of line up with this. So this, and this is really like irregular here on the bottom, which I love. Like that's how I want to paint all rocket pops, nothing too precise. And then I'm going to use this like very soft blue here in the middle. It's mixing a little with that pink line that I put in the middle. So that's fine. This is going to be the white section. Oh, I'm so sorry. Forgive me. I just realized I didn't move the photo. I have the photo on my iPad nearby, so that's what I've been looking at. Okay, there it is. So my apologies. I had already started it without you. Okay, so there's my red, there's the white, this is the blue. I use all of these little oranges that I mixed up before. And I'll use that here. Try to keep that straight line. Oh, you thought I was painting that by memory, Teresa? No. You're like, wow. Yeah, no. I mean, I'm actually really bad at that. I have so many, you know, like little kids. Little kids are like, wow, you're an artist. Can you draw me a train? And I'm like, no, I can't make up a train in my head right now. I'm not good at that at all. I'm sure some people are very good at that. I've seen people who are really good at that, and it's impressive to me. Okay, so I'm just using that pink, and I'm putting it in the areas that look a little bit darker. Very rare, very rough. In fact, very soon I need to switch over to a smaller brush so I can just put a little bit more detail or precision into here. And I'm gonna do this little, the bottom of the bomb pop, is this, okay, if you know, is this a bomb pop or is this a rocket pop? I don't know why I keep calling it a bomb pop, but I think it's called a rocket pop, so I'm always correcting myself. But why am I calling it a rocket pop or a bomb pop? I don't know. But I was saying something about that. Oh, I really like that little piece on the bottom that's kind of irregular and like chunky and looks like it came out of too quickly out of a mold or something like that, or like was poured hastily. I like that. So I'm gonna switch over to something a little smaller just so I can add a little bit of the details to make it have a little bit more form. So the form of it will be a little bit more evident. So I'm adding some lighter blue here, doing a little bit here, some over here. And I'll probably blend this out as well too. Let's do that with the red or the pink that I'm using. So really rough right here. I have a really rough sketch. And I kind of like that, but I'm gonna add a little bit of, I'm gonna use pink. The pink that I used for the umbrella. I'll use that for the light. Rocket pop, rocket pop. Thank you, Teresa. I don't know, I've been going back and forth about that. I'm like, why am I calling it a bomb pop? Where did I even get that from? Is there such thing as a bomb pop? Okay, I'm gonna blend that little edge just a little bit again. There, I just want to make sure it's soft. I don't want it to be a hard line. And I mean, it's already pretty soft, so I really don't need to do much there. I could use a little bit of white to define some of these areas. Might seem weird to be painting white on top of the white section already, but it's not actually very white there, so. Firecracker. Wow, I have never heard of that. Firecracker pop, like a firecracker. Cute, that's adorable. And that makes more sense because of the red, white, and blue. I mean, that seems to make sense to me. because it seems to refer to like the 4th of July, and in the United States we celebrate Independence Day on the 4th of July, and those are the colors, so I'm assuming that's why. But yeah, I feel now when you say it like that's actually really funny that I was calling it a bomb pop, because I feel like that's like a whole other direction. But I guess it's possible that maybe it was at one point, you know, firecrackers, bombs. I mean, kind of similar. Okay. And I'm going to put a little bit of attention on the popsicle stick. Not too much, but I kind of want to do a shadow, but I don't think I should. Should I do a shadow? I'm gonna do a shadow. I'm gonna make the shadow, I feel like I need to make it pink, like the shadows that I put over here on the flip-flops. I'm just gonna add a little bit of black. I think I went into the black, which I don't really like a black. Let me show you what I'm making. I'm gonna do a little bit of blue in here. I really don't like a black shadow, but I also don't feel like this blue is gonna work because it's just like I haven't used that at all, and I don't feel like it's gonna be harmonious. Adding some more of this red that I started with, the pinkish color, and I'm going to try and use that. I just don't want it to be too different. We'll see how it goes, because this is not a shadow on the objects, this is a shadow next to the objects. So this would, theoretically, the shadow would be on the edge of the edge of the object, on the surface of the whatever it's sitting on, the table or whatever it's sitting on. Okay. See, now I feel like I have to use this color somewhere else. Okay. So I put like a really roughed in shape. And I'm going to use this larger brush just with some water and see if I can just soften the edge. Blend it a little bit. Go straight down the width of this brush. And that'll give it a little bit, kind of like a haze. Yeah, okay, so I'm happy with that, but I don't like that that color is nowhere else. So I'm gonna take some of that color and I'm gonna bring some over here to this umbrella just to tie it together. And I often think about like distribution. You know, I wanna make sure that I have a little bit of it here, and then a little bit of it on this page, this side of the page. Balance. There, just a little bit, which I think maybe some for this little guy at the top, which blended in quite a bit. Maybe even a little bit on the shadow here around the flip-flops. Perhaps a little bit down here, a little bit down here, where those like kind of tension or like contact points exist. There we go. Okay, so now it's not totally like out in the woods by itself. It would be kind of nice if there was some here, but I don't think I'm in a place to put that there. Okay, so it's 8:06. If you feel like you have to leave at any time, by all means go. I think we're gonna wrap this up in about maybe like 30 more minutes. I'm gonna work on some watermelon here. And then maybe I could fit that like pool yellow and blue square there, but then it brings in yellow and we don't really have that much yellow. So I don't know about that. Let's do some watermelon. Watermelon's easy. I feel like it's simple. So I'm gonna put watermelon here. Is that a good idea? Or should I put the watermelon here? And then I can do that other pool photo here. Yeah, I'm gonna do that. Watermelon floating behind here. I'll do maybe like 2 slices. Take that one off. Let's find the watermelon. Not that. Not that. Not that. There it is. I have the watermelon nearby so I can just see the details a little bit closer, although I don't really feel like we need it. And again, I'm sticking with those same colors. So I'm going to start with that pink. In lieu of red, I'm using that pink that I used here and here for my darks. I'm just going to add a little bit of white to it. And I'm going to start right here, like this. One right there, maybe another one over here. I'm just blocking them in so I know where they're gonna go. I think things always look good in 3s. So if you can manage to fit a 3rd one in here somewhere, I'm gonna do this. I'm gonna tuck it, like I'm gonna crop it off the edge here. So the 3rd one is there, but it doesn't fully show up, and I think that's okay. Oh, sorry. Let me show it to you like this so you can see a little better. There we go. Let's put this on this side. So I did 1, 2, 3. That's my 3rd one. It's cropped off the edge. Now, you can use green for the rind, like it's green there. I might do a little bit of green, but I'm leaning towards this bluish color that I used for the pool. I know that's not the color of the watermelon, but I feel like it's green tangent. It's like tangent to green. And even though it's not the actual color, it will be like, we'll understand that that's supposed to be the watermelon. If we don't like it, I can just paint over it. So I'm going to use a little bit of that green from the beach ball and mix it into my white. So it's just the slightest bit of green there, and I'm going to add that little layer right here. And I'm going to just let that sit, let it kind of dry together, and then I can come back and try to blend it a little. So we started with triangles. We put that little hint of color, greenish blue on the edge for the rind. And now I'm going to use that dark purple. Wow, this just all worked out. This dark purple that I had made for the shadows, I'm going to use that for the seeds. It's definitely my darkest color that I have here. And you can make it really pretty and like illustration-y, like with like really perfect little shapes. But I'm just going to look at the images and draw them a little bit more like what I see. Like, so they're going to be very irregular. This one's in a bunch of there's a lot of little crevices there. Okay, so I blocked it in. Probably also need a little bit of white for some bright spots on the, oh, that's too much white. mixing it with my pink, the same pink that I used for the watermelon. And putting a few little sections of white texture in here. Okay, sorry, my palette's making so much noise. Okay, I'm gonna switch over to a smaller brush, and now I can define these areas a little bit more. I'm gonna use this darker green and make a little bit more of an organic line. Do the same here. Some of these sections might need a little bit more, and then other parts don't. Like this little rind here. Oh, whoops. I just accidentally dragged my brush over that area. That rind here, you can see that it's got the darker striping here, and then it's a little lighter there. So you don't have to do it all in the same value all the way across. You can vary that as well. And then some of that white with the green in it that I made for the rind. I'm gonna come back to that. Always better to have your palette right next to your paints. And my paints are on the other side, but you've seen the struggle I've had figuring out how I organize my workspace, so. I put a little bit more in some areas, and I'm going to use my big brush to soften that. Just a little bit of maybe water. I don't really have anything on my brush. I don't want a lot of water, just a little. And I'm just going to blend that into the pink. Right there. And a little bit more definition on those seeds. Some parts can be a little bit darker within those spaces. It's a little hard to see over there on the screen, but I'll show it to you in just a sec. And I'm going to use this same color to make some shadows. A little scared, it's so dark. I'm a little scared to apply it, but let's see. This would be here, shadow. And you can use the darker color to kind of carve in the shape of the rind side, I guess. There. And this shadow would be here. Okay, now that shadow, I'm going to just slightly soften the edge with a little bit of water on my brush. Just run it over. And then probably a teensy bit more of the darkest. Like there's a little section of that pot that is like really dark blue. I'm just going to put that right next to the watermelon slice. Here, and I'll show you my watermelon. I don't want it to be too defined. I'm gonna soften it just a little. They're so like sloppy, but I kind of like them. They're really painterly. Those are my watermelons. I do think maybe a little bit more, oops, of like a bright, hold on, let me see, white on top of some of these little, I think I can also do that in color pencil at the end too, if I need to. Yeah, I don't want to do too much of that. I don't want to add too much detail and texture in here. Okay, so there are my watermelon slices. About 15 more minutes and we could do the last one. So, I mean, let me turn this off for a second. I'm gonna turn off the watermelons. There we go. So here's the spread so far. I feel like it, you know, needs to be more pool party-ish. Like it doesn't feel pool party-ish yet. It doesn't feel like festive. It doesn't feel like fun. I'm gonna put, and you know what's fun? Starbursts. Maybe some confetti would be so cute, like different colors. They're so much easier to do in color pencil. Make it look like it goes behind the umbrella. And I'll put some more colors there because it looks a little bland right now. Maybe. I still haven't done that last pull image, which I'm gonna put right here. And I'm using, again, all the colors, for the most part, the other colors on my palette. So all of these colors that I'm putting here in this like random assortment of shapes here are definitely from the rest of the composition. So they're not gonna feel out of place. I'm going to use some of this yellow here that I haven't really used for anything else except for the ball, the beach ball, and I think the green would be good in that one too. Okay, I think it would be also nice if I put like a little lettering here that might say like pool party or something like that. Now I'm gonna do that last image, which is that blue and yellow pool. It's such a beautiful image. Where is it though? Let's find it. So it looks like we got to 6 images, which is impressive, I think. I was a little worried that this was gonna be too many images. Of course, you do as many as you want. It is up to you to figure out your spacing and your and you can decide to make some things bigger and some things smaller. I hope this is the same yellow I used before. So you can play with the proportions and you can make some things bigger than others. So I'm gonna use this yellow to like mark in the box, put it close by here. And I'm gonna leave a little gap on top in case I wanna write something. It also makes the proportions of this work a little better. but you can make it a different shape. It doesn't even have to be this rectangular shape because it's so simple that you could make it into the shape of a circle. What a great image. I'm gonna have to find the name of the photographer so that we can just, you know, for our own reference, because that's such a beautiful, like a very striking image. Okay, so here's my yellow, and I'm going to use a combination of the, actually I think I'll just use this, no, I'm going to mix this greenish color I used with this blue to make something a little bit, you know, definitely using the same colors from my palette, not adding anything new. So it'll fit in, it'll feel like it belongs, but don't really have enough on my palette, but we'll see what we can do. I love these brush strokes. When you're painting nice and big, you get to see them, I think, a little bit more, or maybe in my work. Okay. Very rough, and then I'm gonna rough in those little bars. Now, I don't have anything grayish, but I have that purple, so I'm going to use that. I'm going to mix it with some of this white here, and I'm going to use that one, and maybe should I add a little bit of this red to it? Yeah, I'm going to do it like that. I love the asymmetry of this, so I love that it's off center. Just try to look at these as lines. I hope I get it. This is also one of those things that it's like, it's very simple, but it's also, it can also be very deceiving. So this is kind of lined up here. There we go. Let's see if we can get the other side in. That doesn't feel right. This feels wrong here. Like there's an angle that I missed here. I might have to clean that up a little. So because I feel like it's a little off right here, I'm gonna probably come back in with some of that blue to carve out the shape a little more clearly. There's a space here, and then we have another handlebar. So it comes in this direction. I think it should have ended a little, like it should have gone up here. Wow, I thought this one was gonna be like so easy. The last one, so simple. What a fast painting. And here I am struggling with these angles. That's fair, I guess. Let's see, I'm gonna put some little round spaces at the bottom, and those shadows are really where the magic happens. I know it doesn't look like much right now, but okay, let me fix the shapes first before I put the shadows in. I really wanted to put the shadows in, but instead I'm going to tweak my shapes. So I need a little bit more of this. Literally don't remember what I used. Where is it? I think it's this. I need a little bit more of that blue and that yellow so that I can use that. Oh, I think it's this. Yeah, that one. Okay, right here. So this is a color I can use to kind of, you know, clean up any, I really like this, like really painterly effect here. So I'm struggling with having to paint over that. I mean, I'm a little sad, but I'll survive. I just liked how loose it was. I'm gonna add a little bit more white to it so I looking a little dark. That was a lot of white. That was more white than I should have added. But here we are. Right there. I'm going to make sure I paint through all of those spaces because I don't want it to seem like there's a different color in the negative space. It will look off. I'm going to add some of that color to the other spaces, even the spaces that weren't really affected by my painting, my correction here. I just don't want it to feel like out of place. Wow, those little bars were way more deceiving than I thought they would be. Deceptively challenging. And some more of this yellow, and this was kind of straight off the tube, straight out of the pan, so don't really have to do a lot of mixing for that. Okay, so I think I need a small brush for this. Let's clean this up a little. So this should have been a little bit more corrected. This needs to be a little slimmer. That looks kind of okay. It's definitely hard when you have a darker color and then you're trying to paint over it with a lighter one. And with artist gouache, like these Himi Gouache, they are water soluble, so they don't dry waterproof. And that means that sometimes when you're painting over them, you will have some of the color underneath it lift a little and mix in with your new color that you're putting on top of it. And that can be, I don't know, that can be a problem if that's not what you wanted or you don't like what's happening there. I'm just using some of this very dark purple to define some of the bars to maybe help create that sense of direction. And I'll use this dark purple as well to create the cast shadows, which are honestly my favorite part of this. So cast shadows go, let me start it with, I think it's going to be really, really dark. I want to do it that purple color, but I'm going to start it with a little bit of this yellow mixed with some of that purple, just to mark in where it's going to go. I want to make sure I get the placement right. Something like that, and something like that. And these might mimic each other. They might kind of go in the same direction, so kind of look at them and try to repeat the same kind of shape that you painted in. I really need to stop saying kind of. I say it so much and it bothers me. It's that filler word, which we don't need. We don't need a filler word. Okay, so I actually like those shadows there, and now I will use the dark purple again, the same one I used for my other shadows. And it's actually really dark. Normally I would like to do something that would be the color of the surface, but a darker version. And for this one, I feel like it is so dark that we don't need to mix a special color for it. I'm just going to use this really dark purple. And you can soften the edge a little with a clean but wet brush if that's something you want to do, but it's so small, I don't think I'm going to do that. let me just show it to you. It looks like rough still, but that's all it looks like, right? I'm gonna add some lights on top. So for my light, I'm just gonna use some of this light blue, and I'll mix it with a little bit of that purple, just a little. I still want this to be pretty light, and I'm gonna put it on top of the metal right here. Some right here, a little spot of it there, a little spot here. Maybe a teensy bit here. It's reflecting the water here, so I'm just using that same color. Well, it's something very similar to the water. This is just plain old, nothing fancy, white. And I'll put this in right at the end. I don't want a lot of water on my brush. I want a fairly dry brush. And I'm just gonna put it right in the middle of that bluish blob I put there. A little bit here, right in the middle. There. I'm not going to do much in terms of the water. I'm just going to leave the yellow and the blue. Yay. And I really need some pink on this side. Definitely needs pink. We got so much pink here, so much blue here. Or we need some blue here. So if I do anything else to this page, yes, of course, Elsa, thank you for coming. I appreciate it. I'll see you later, or I'll chat with you later. I'll see you online. Yeah, this, I think also, so I'm gonna put away this image for now. I'm gonna just talk to you a little bit about the composition. So I have, okay, I'm gonna do something else. Here's my stamp. Today is the 18th. Okay, now usually at the end I like to look at my composition and I think about balance. So I have this space here and I have this space here, and I see those as two opportunities to help me make corrections if I need to. I think I need some of this yellow over here. So I was kind of thinking that I would put some words in here. I'm not sure what they'll be yet, but if I do, I'll probably use yellow to create that balance. I also feel like maybe some more pink over here. There's so much pink here that maybe I'll use these pinks. I could write something here, or I could paint something here. I don't have any more reference images, but I did think about doing a pattern of like a beach towel or something, just something striped. I like stripes, I like plaid, I like grid. So when I make those decisions, I will most likely try to use the colors from here over here and this color over here. I just want to create a little bit of balance because of all this yellow and blue here and all of this pink here. But overall, like, that was really fun. I haven't just like loosely painted like that in a long time. This is so much fun to me, just like rendering images. So I think that that's like a really fun way to use gouache. I mean, that's the way that normally we use it, but gouache is like considered to be much more like illustration. So often in a lot of cases, I think I see gouache that looks very, very polished, and you can use it very polished, very clean, or it has the flexibility to be used more painterly, and that's what I really like about it. So I don't know, how did you guys do? Let me swap over to the chat. How are you guys doing? This is mine, so you can see it in a different way, right? So I'm almost backwards here. This is my sketchbook spread. I mean, it looks really good in that camera. It just looks really soft, and like all the little messy edges are gone. But I had a lot of fun doing this. I was a little bit worried that it was gonna be too much stuff for about an hour of painting, and we did take about an hour and a half, but I think it came out great. So I would love to see yours if you were able to make one. You can tag me on Instagram. I would love it if you would share it with me. Yes, Teresa says that the beach ball pool was tricky. Indeed. I think I can stand to use about another hour on that painting, but I don't know. Sometimes I worry that when I have too much time, I overwork stuff, and giving myself defined limits usually helps me to, I don't know. I don't know that it's quite there yet. I'm not quite sure that it's like reading how I would like it to read. So it's important that you think about that. Do you want it to be a little bit more defined? Then do that. And if you don't want that, then that's okay too. So yes, it was tricky. The water was tricky, and I was surprised at how tricky those little, what do you call those bars that you use to, the ladder on the pool was. That was tricky for me too. But overall, had so much fun painting this. I'm really glad I got my day started with a little bit of painting. I hope you guys are glad to have done that too. Did y'all have any trouble or anything? I'd love to know about it. And I, of course, would love to see your work. So if you are on Instagram, I would love it if you would tag me, or you can send me a direct image if you just want to share that with me. If you're in my Patreon, we do have a private Facebook group where it's just for us to see, and you can post your pictures there. I'd love to see that. Otherwise, if you share them on Instagram with me, I can share them as well, and that would be so great to see. So definitely consider sharing if that's something you're interested in. And if not, that's okay too. And if you'd like more stuff like this, I do monthly streams with my patrons on Patreon, and you're invited to join us. The link is in the information box here. You can definitely join us there. And even if you don't want to commit to being a paid subscriber right now on Patreon, you can still follow along, and I post a lot of things public for anyone who is a free patron on my Patreon. And you can see like when we're doing these kinds of like open live streams or activities for everybody. So join me there if you can, and thank you so much for being here. Thank you, Teresa, for being here and for following along. I hope you guys had a great morning, and I wish you guys a really beautiful day. So have a good one. Bye.